Hi there and welcome to another business growth video, this time looking at recent examples of vertical integration. Now, vertical integration is when two firms either merge or one firm takes over another firm. They're in the same industry, but crucially they're at a different stage or a different step of the supply chain. There are two types of vertical integration, forward and backward. With forward vertical, you're buying a business that is closer to the final consumer, closer to the final purchase and consumption activity. Live Nation, for example, an events business, merging with Ticketmaster, providing the ticketing facilities. Shell, a vertically integrated oil and gas company, buying First Utility, which was, if you like, a new challenger brand offering consumers renewable energy in particular. Backward vertical is when a firm integrates with another, but they're going backwards closer to the source of raw materials and components and other inputs in the supply chain. Good examples, Tesco buying the wholesaler Booker for £4 billion in 2018, going back from retail to wholesale. Amazon has done a lot of acquisitions over the years, buying the chip maker Dialog in 2018. Indeed, in the tech sector, there have been numerous acquisitions, many of which we can categorize as vertical integration. Those big tech companies trying to grasp control of all of the intricacies of the industry. Since 1991, so a period of 27 years, Google has made over 200 acquisitions. Cisco Systems not far behind, alongside Microsoft and IBM, and then a whole cluster of companies that have also made lots of acquisitions in their particular market spaces. Apple, 89 acquisitions, Amazon, 77, even Facebook making 65 acquisitions. If we just think about Google, in particular, this chart is revealing, I think. This is the annual number of acquisitions made by Google worldwide from 2004 to 2018. In 1 year alone, 2014, Google made 36 acquisitions, although the buying spree appears to have tailed off a little bit since then. Here's a few examples of Google's biggest acquisitions up to September 2017. A couple of really interesting ones there. Motorola Mobility, buying those assets of that business for $12.5 billion in 2011. Not wholly successful as it turned out, but look at the snip. It bought YouTube for $1.6 billion. What a snip of a price in October 2006. It wouldn't be $1.6 billion now. Google's a good example of a business which likes to have control of its industry, that whole, if you like, that whole stream running through the search process on the web. What are the main advantages of vertical integration? Fundamentally, it gives you greater control over the supply chain, which then in theory allows you to cut your costs, because you're taking those incremental profits away from the middlemen suppliers, the different levels of supply chain. You're taking away those profit margins, and it means you can buy your inputs more cheaply. And in theory, you get greater control over the quality of the inputs into the production process. IKEA, for example, famously has bought some forests, I think in the Baltic states. And of course, that gives access to basic raw materials, and they can manage the quality of the forestry products that come out of that sector. Vertical integration improves access to key raw materials, and actually oftentimes if you have access, you may well be depriving a rival firm of access who might have to pay for those. And looking forward, in terms of forward vertical integration, it gives you better control over retail distribution channels, oftentimes giving you new channels to sell more to customers. Crucially, vertical integration can remove suppliers and their market intelligence and experience and capabilities, takes them away from competitors, gives you that control over the industry, it makes the market less contestable, and gives the acquiring firm more market power. Plenty of advantages. I find it quite hard actually at times to think about significant disadvantages of vertical integration. I've only written one down for your notes here, but I guess you could add that businesses maybe come to unfocused, and oftentimes the left-hand side of a business, supply chain businesses, doesn't necessarily know what the right-hand side needs. Fundamentally, I think it's about diseconomies of scale, that with a strongly vertically integrated business, it's quite clunky, quite cumbersome. There are often very significant problems of communication and coordination within a bigger, more disparate, more different firm. So diseconomies of scale can lead to inefficiencies, and that can hit the profitability that comes from the acquisition. But it's important to think about vertical integration, to get some nice examples for your notes, and to be able to discuss some of the benefits and drawbacks.